I want you to close your eyes and think back to November of 2002, either what you lived through and recall from it, or what you may have heard. What sticks out to you? You may recall that the War on Terror was being fought during this time, and President George W. Bush was in his second year of presidency. But for my parents on November 4th of 2002, it was a big day. I, their first child, was being born. But they may have started their day by watching the third season of The Bachelor, or watching American Idol, or rewatching Friends, all of which were popular shows during this time. They may have eaten Honey Bunches of Oats with strawberries for breakfast, a popular cereal which was released during 2002. But let me give you some less personal insight into the time period. Looking into sports, on November 2nd, the 14th College Football Holy War was played, and Boston College beat Notre Dame. On the same day, the NHL legend Mark Messier made history by playing his 1,616th NHL game. On November 3rd, the next day, the Federation Cup for women's tennis, the tournament was played, and Slovakia was given their first title for the championship. And on November 11th, a Belgian tennis star named Kim Clijsters beat Serena Williams during the WTA Tour Championship in Los Angeles, California. This was groundbreaking. Serena Williams is known for being one of the greatest tennis players of all time, especially for the United States, and she's been largely undefeated in her career. So the fact that the Belgian tennis star played against her and won speaks volumes to their skill as a player. On November 17th, the 54th NASCAR Sprint Cup was won by Tony Stewart, an American. But let's look into the music culture of the time period. On November 6th, the 36th Country Music Association Award was given to Alan Jackson and Martina McBride. On November 13th, Eminem's song Lose Yourself was the first rap song to win the Academy Award for Best Original Song. And on November 18th, the music album Up by Shania Twain was released, which went on later to become the Billboard Album of the Year in 2003. Let's look into the film culture a little bit. On November 14th, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets was released based off of the second novel in J.K. Rowling's series Harry Potter, which excited her massive fan base across the world. And on November 20th, Die Another Day, the 20th James Bond film, was released, also exciting a massive fan base. On November 30th, Ina Garten's Barefoot Contessa cooking show was premiered, which is one of the most popular cooking shows of our time. But not everything was so lighthearted during the time period. There was a lot of tension because, as I mentioned, the War on Terror was being fought. In the previous year, 9/11 attacks struck fear into Americans and citizens all over the world, really. There was a lot going on. For example, on November 4th, my birthday, Hidepu signed a pro-democracy letter in China and was arrested for supporting democracy in their largely communist country. On November 6th, 12 people were killed in a train fire going to Italy from France, which was devastating. On November 7th, Iran banned their advertisements of all United States products, and on November 8th, the United States ordered Iraq's president, or dictator, Saddam Hussein, to disarm or face serious consequences. This was very tense. People were waiting to see what the response was. And on November 13th, Iraq agreed to disarm, as the UN Security Council demanded. But on November 16th, Iraq released a statement saying that they had to disarm because they felt pressured to, as the claws and teeth of the United Nations was bared to them. And so it really raised questions whether it was a genuine disarming of their weapons or not. So on November 18th, the United Nations weapons inspectors arrived in Iraq to inspect and see if their claim was serious or not. Other things happened that were heartbreaking during this time. There was an oil spill, a massive oil spill, on November 13th that damaged the wildlife of the Atlantic Ocean. And people were brought together in order to try and clean up this gigantic mess off of the coast of Spain and protect the integrity of the nature around us. On November 13th, the United States House of Representatives voted not to create an independent commission to investigate the 9/11 attacks. And on November 15th, Hu Jintao became the General Secretary of the Communist Party of China. But perhaps most important, what happened during November of 2002 for the United States was the Department of Homeland Security was created. This department was made in order to protect the United States from the many threats it faces. It is still active even today. We've all heard of it, and even now during the month of March, they've been active at the border, protecting us from the further spread of the coronavirus, in the best nature of all of us. So, as I've described, a lot happened in November of 2002. Tennis and football championships made history, and natural disasters brought us together to help our neighbors. And uncertainty between the UN and Iraq held citizens at the edge of their seats. Because of this, November of 2002 will always be an important part of our history to recall. Decisions made then impact us even now. We look back on November of 2002 and appreciate it for all that it gave us that lasts even today.